Hello and welcome to a new advanced listening practice lesson. It's a pleasure to see you again if you've been following these new videos in this new series. Now, just as again, I always want to have this brief introduction at the beginning of all these in case we have new people, because we have lots of new subscribers coming in all the time. In this video series, I talk at an extra fast speed, so there's kind of the native level speed, and I try to talk even faster than that, even though I do give some kind of slower sections where I want to make sure everything is clear, and maybe I'll explain a thing or two like a new word or phrase. But most of the videos I have, they're at a much slower pace, kind of like I'm speaking right now, which is slower than my normal speaking voice, to help you understand things and make sure you can learn lots of new phrases easily. So if you're new to the channel, if you're new to this series, I recommend you go back and get used to my voice at this speed. So watch all the previous videos. Well, there's over 250 of them, so maybe you can't watch all of them, but go back and watch a few of them, and that will get you used to my voice. So when you can come back and watch this video series, these advanced listening practice lessons, then you can have a better sense of how I speak, my intonation, and you can really start to understand more. If you want the best of what we do at EnglishAnyone.com, you can also, if you want lots of subtitles and you want to have the full transcripts of lessons that you can practice with, click on the link that you can see in your screen right now, and you can learn more about Master English Conversation. This is our program that we use specifically to help people that they can understand quite a bit, they can even speak a little bit, but you know, the way they speak is just not quite natural enough. They really want to express themselves. So I guide you as an English fluency guide, and I take you from the current level that you have up to fluency nice and easy in simple steps. So if you'd like to learn more about that in that program, click on the link in your screen now. Well, let's get into the lesson. Alright, so today I wanted to talk about something really fast and interesting, and you know, I may kind of slow down a little bit at some sections, but since in the last episode I was talking about a book, if you haven't seen that one, I highly recommend you go back and watch that one. So I was talking about a book that I found after many, many years. It's a really fun book. I was really happy to have discovered it and have had the chance to reveal that and show that to people. So since that one was about a book, I thought this one would be about a book as well. But unfortunately, there are no pictures. This is not a book for kids. This is a book I was just reading. I actually spent a lot of my time reading, and I just thought this was something, you know, worth talking about as well. There's always lots of interesting things to learn about in English, and this is kind of a separate tip for learning English, but the more you can just study things you're interested in the language, that's what's going to help you get fluent much faster, as opposed to trying to learn specific words or phrases in an English lesson. So just like this, we're talking about things in the same way I would talk with native speakers. I'm just speaking a little bit more quickly so you can get used to that. But, you know, again, try to find things you're interested in and study those things, but in English. Anyway, this book, let me grab it right here. I've always been interested in philosophy and psychology. So this book is called Influence: The Psychology of Persuasion. Persuasion. This is a really great advanced word. It's kind of hard to see here. There you go. So the psychology of persuasion. Now this isn't really a book review. I'm not even finished with the book yet. I just wanted to give a kind of a brief talk about something that I discovered in the book, which I thought was really, really interesting, fascinating even. But very quickly, the word persuasion, this is the noun, to persuade someone. This means to try to change their mind or to get them to do something. And this is what we do every day. So whether you have a specific sales job, or you just work in a company, or whatever it is you do, or even if you're just a child and you're trying to convince your parents to buy you something, we're all selling in some way. We're trying to influence the behavior of other people, and you know, I just thought it had a lot of interesting experiments and a lot of psychological experiments, and I really liked learning about those in college, so I continue to learn about them now. Really interesting stuff. So the author is Robert Cialdini, and hopefully I'm pronouncing that properly. Again, I can't pronounce everything well, but I try. Anyway, it's just an interesting book about the different ways that we persuade each other using the principles of human psychology. So when we're talking about, you know, as an example, I want to, you know, convince you to do something, like please come over to my house and help me do something. I might use commitment, which is, you know, getting you to say yes to one thing so you can continue to do that thing. Because as an example, if you say, I like to help animals, but then, you're in an opportunity where you're not helping animals, then inside your mind, you're feeling a little bit bad about that. So when you're trying to convince someone to do something, you're using those, the mechanics of the mind. You're trying to get the human mind or get the person to do specific things. And if you can do that, then you can persuade them to do something. Anyway, so this is just one out of many, many examples and things, whew, it's getting a little hot over here, if you can tell. Whew, it's in the middle of summer here in Japan, and I'm actually inside right now with the windows closed. I got no fan on, recording this for you because I love you so much. And if I had the windows open, you could hear all the cicadas outside. Shh, they're really, really loud. Anyway, back to the book. So this is, I was actually talking, I mentioned commitment just a second ago, and so the example of commitment, it was a really interesting story from the book when this, the author, Cialdini, he's talking about how toy companies sell toys after the Christmas season ends. So typically, throughout the year, it's kind of a slow time, and then, maybe you'll have like birthdays or other things like that, but usually the holiday season, so maybe, especially in America, you got maybe like November and then December right before Christmas, that holiday time. There's all of the toys that are sold during the year are sold primarily, predominantly, mostly around that time. And one of the things that he was talking about was how we can convince people to continue buying toys. So what do the toy companies do to get people to continue buying toys after the toy season is ended? So people are spending all of their money. Lots of parents are out there. They're listening to their kids, and their kids are begging them, please, please, please. So their kids are trying to persuade them to get them a certain toy. So as an example, maybe I'm 10 years old and I'm asking my parents for a new video game system. So I want to get the new, PlayStation or Nintendo or whatever it is, and it's maybe around October or November, and I'm asking them, can I please get that? And then if I can get that for Christmas, then I'm really happy. And if I'm not, then I'm going to be really sad about that. But what little kids are trying to do, and if you have kids, you've probably seen this before many times, or as a kid, maybe you did this as well, is you try to convince them, Mommy, I'll love you so much if you buy this for me. And again, you're trying to convince, you're trying to persuade that person to do something. So you're trying to persuade your parents. Now, what I thought was really interesting, and I'd never thought about this before, and again, this is why you try to study lots of different things so you can get lots of interesting new perspectives on things, learn a lot about new interesting things. Anyway, so when I was reading this and he was talking about, again, the author Cialdini, he was talking about how toy companies get people to continue buying toys even after the Christmas season ends. And here's how they do that, by using consistency and commitment, this principle of the human mind. So again, if you're trying to get someone to do something, you want to get them to make a commitment, because people feel bad about breaking that, because it's a social contract. When we talk with each other and we make promises, that kind of thing, it's hard to break a promise. And if you're known as a person that breaks promises, then people don't want to have good relationships with you. So here's what they do. Now imagine you're a toy company and you have this really, like the new Nintendo or the new whatever, the like maybe if you remember many years ago, it was an Elmo doll, like the Sesame Street Elmo doll. It was Tickle Me Elmo. It was a little, just a red Elmo doll, a Sesame Street character, and you would, I think, push a button on it and it would go and move like that, and it was really, really popular. But there was not enough supply to meet the demand. So there were not enough Tickle Me Elmo dolls to meet all of the children, all the parents, people were trying to buy them. But what toy companies do is they know that a lot of people are trying to buy this present, and they also know that parents have made a promise to their kids to get them that thing. So the kid in October has been asking, begging over and over again, can you please get me this Tickle Me Elmo doll? And the parent says, okay, yes, I'll get you the doll. And then, the kid is unable to find, the present or whatever, or maybe the parent, they're going and looking at all these stores, but they're not able to find it. So again, there's a lot of people that want it, but there's just not enough supply for all those people. But what the toy companies are doing is they're intentionally reducing the supply of these toys that people really want. So maybe they could make 1 million Tickle Me Elmo dolls and everybody could get one, but if they did that, then everybody would buy that doll for Christmas and they wouldn't buy anything after Christmas. Now, if you go to the store for, your Thanksgiving or, after that, like the Black Friday, this is the day after Thanksgiving where a lot of the Christmas season shopping starts. So if you go to like a sale and you're able to find the Tickle Me Elmo doll, you buy that thing, then you have it, you can give that to your child. So you made a promise to get that for them, and you want to keep that promise, and then you give them that, give them that Tickle Me Elmo doll. But if you aren't able to find that, because again, the companies have artificially, they're kind of intentionally reducing the supply of these things. If you can't find one of these, then maybe you look for some other toys that are kind of equal value to that toy. But after the Christmas season ends, what the toy companies do, again, they knew they were intentionally keeping the number of toys down. So what they do after the Christmas season ends is they start showing commercials for that same product again. So all the people that couldn't get the Tickle Me Elmo doll, they start seeing, the kids, they start seeing the commercials for it in January and February. And when the children are seeing these toys, then they're saying, "Oh, like this is the toy that my mom promised she would get me." And then they tell their parents, "Hey, you made a commitment to buy me this thing." And so the parents are thinking, even though I just got, my child, a nice, I couldn't get them Tickle Me Elmo, but I got them a train set and some books and some other things. So maybe it was equal value, but it's not exactly what they wanted. But the problem was that they made a commitment, and the toy companies are taking advantage of that. So, the toy companies are sending, all these commercials out, and then people go back to the store, even though they already bought the Christmas present in January and February, to go back and buy these Tickle Me Elmo dolls or, whatever the popular toy is. So the toy company was able to make twice the amount of money they could have made just by using this principle. So most kids, they don't say, "Well, it's okay, you got me something of equal value." They say, "No, I want the toy that I really wanted." And because the parents are making, a commitment to their child, the child is using that psychology principle, whether they realize it or not. They're using that and then getting their parents to finally buy that thing for them. So I thought this was really interesting, and the whole reason that the author, again, Cialdini, was talking about this is because he fell for that a couple of times. So 2 years in a row, he had, failed to find the present that his son was asking for, or his daughter. I forget which one it is, actually. I'm kind of bad with remembering the details like that. I'm really good with the overall, idea. That's why I can talk about the commitment and consistency part of it. But anyway, so, he had fallen for this, and again, this is a great phrasal verb, a great native way of expressing to be tricked by something, and this is to fall for something. So he fell for this idea of the toy is artificially not there, so he can't buy it, and he buys something else, and then after the new year begins, the commercials come back, and then he has to go buy that new thing. So he just spent twice the money to satisfy his child's need. So he was at a toy store, and there was another guy there that he had known, and maybe from the neighborhood or something like that, and he hadn't seen that other person since the previous year. And he's saying, "Well, we're both at the store at the same time buying, this train set or whatever the toy was." And they were talking about that. But he finally met someone who actually worked for the toy companies and who explained to him how it actually works and why they do it the way they do it. But I just thought it was a really interesting story, and maybe something you might find interesting as well. Well, that's it for this lesson. I just thought it would be fun to come on and tell you about that. I'm always learning lots of new things, and I think even though there's nothing English specific about it, because it's in English, you get lots of great listening practice, and you get to listen to that, especially me when I'm speaking at a faster voice. But again, if you'd like to learn a lot more about how you can improve your English fluency, how you can start listening more, sounding more like a native speaker, using the real words and phrases we use when you speak, click on the link in your screen and you'll learn more about Master English Conversation. Or if you're watching this on mobile, you'll be able to see a link under this video in the description. Well, I'm getting crazy hot over here. I'm going to have to take another look at my face. Oh my goodness, I got so much sweat on my face. I take maybe like 3 or 4 showers a day here. And it's crazy. I mean, I don't know how people do it in Japan. I think I need to, even with the air conditioning on, it's still crazy hot out here. But that's enough of my problems. I'm going to go get in the shower right now, and I will put this up so you can enjoy it. And I look forward to seeing you in the next episode. When this video gets 10,000 views, I will release the next one, and then we'll keep the party going. Have a fantastic day, and I'll see you there. Bye-bye.